Cao Cao once gave the following piece of advice to Shi Haiyuan after he scored a series of victories. A general should not rely solely on bravery. By considering his weakness, he will be prepared for situations he cannot win. Courage is a base instinct all generals should possess, but one should also use wisdom and strategy when making his moves. One who knows only bravery is no more than an ordinary man who can fight. After Cao Cao conquered Hanzhong, he also turned down Sima Yi's and Liu Yi's plans to advance into Yi. You're still longing about merging Shou, whilst we've only just conquered Liang. We shouldn't be so discontent with our gains. He left Shi Haiyuan, Zhang He and Xu Huang behind to defend Hanzhong Commandery, while he returned to his capital. He issued a memo to Protector General Cao Hong, who was sent to help defend Hanzhong with Xin Pi and Cao Xiu assigned as his deputies. In the past, the emperor indulged too much in luxuries, but his advisors were there to point out his mistakes. Today, Zizhi and Wen Li will ensure that Cao Hong will not be careless. Cao Cao further told Cao Xiu that he may be an advisor, but he's actually the commander. When Cao Hong received this appointment, he held it in name only, delegating command of his unit over to Cao Xiu. In 217, general who spreads martial might, Fang analysed that the reason Cao didn't attack south was not because of a lack of strength, but because he needed to deal with internal problems instead. He urged Liu Bei to attack Hanzhong now, while stating 3 benefits after the city was taken. It would serve as a great base of operations to attack Cao's headquarters and revive the Han dynasty. If not, one could still attack Yong and Liang, as it granted access into these 2 provinces. It also served as an important long-term strategic location for the survival of Liu Bei's regime, being the gateway into Yi. Governor of Yi, Liu Bei, agreed with Fang that the defenders of Hanzhong were no match for Shu's forces. Protector of the army Huang Chuan was a great military planner regarding the region. He continued to provide Liu Bei with plans on how to capture the enemy positions ever since he defeated Du Huo and Pu Hu in his homeland at Ba. A certain Wang Ping started his career under those 2 tribal leaders and was currently an acting colonel under Shi Haiyuan. Huang Zhong, Wei Yan, Liu Feng, Meng Da, Chen Shi, Gao Xiang, Zhao Yun, Zhang Yi, Zhang Fei, Ma Chao, Wu Lan, Li Tong and Ren Kui were the commanders of Liu Bei's army. General of the Imperial Consular, Zhuge Liang, remained behind to guard Chengdu. With the help of many officials, such as attendant clerk Yang Hong, he ensured that the cities were well stocked with supplies and well defended. In December of 217, Liu Bei advanced his army towards Yangping Pass, which was being defended by Shi Haiyuan. At the same time, he sent Zhang Fei, Ma Chao, Wu Lan, Li Tong and Ren Kui to attack Wudu, which is when Lei Ding of the Di peoples led 7 tribes out to come and help Shu. Cao Hong and Cao Xiu led separate forces to meet Zhang Fei's battle lines, while Zhang He and Xu Huang guarded 2 different locations near Yangping Pass. By April of the next year, Zhang Fei's and Ma Chao's armies were stationed together, and they spread news that they were planning to block the enemy retreat route. In a nearby county, Cao Hong was advancing towards Wulan, but many of Cao's officers were cautious about how Zhang Fei's unit would react to them. Cunning Cao Xiu saw through the ruse. Zhang Fei wouldn't roar his trap aloud if he meant to crush them. He proposed that they perform a feint attack by feigning a retreat and smashing forward in a brutal assault. Cao Hong unleashed the tactic, shattering Li Tong and Ren Kui in a blood-soaked clash, killing them both in battle. Cao Zhen also led his men to help crush Wu Lan, who fled to the Di tribes, only to meet Xing Duan's swift, merciless blade. With this defeat, Zhang Fei and Ma Chao were dismissed from the campaign. With their pride scorched by defeat, they slunk away. Cao Hong, on the other hand, flushed with triumph, threw a raucous victory feast, commanding prostitutes to shed their modesty and dance atop drums in a haze of entertainment. Administrator of Wudu, Yang Fu, openly disgraced Cao Hong's indecent actions before storming out. With his authority shamed, Cao Hong abruptly silenced the drums, then summoned Yang Fu back to his seat. Meanwhile, at the Yangping frontier, the Shu army faced off against Shi Haiyuan. Chen Shi was sent with around 10 officers to cut off the enemy route along the gallery roads, but this position was successfully defended by Xu Huang. The Great Wei warrior quite literally brushed this enemy aside, as many Shu soldiers fell deep into the valleys during their retreat. Cao Cao was delighted. Liu Bei wanted to isolate this crucial pass before marching into Hanzhong. You have done well in keeping it open and foiling his attempts. At another frontier, Liu Bei had divided his thousands of elite soldiers into 10 ferocious packs. He hurled himself against Zhang He one night, but even with his personal command, the Wei general refused to yield. Liu Bei urgently sent a letter to Zhuge Liang, pleading for reinforcements, but the master strategist stood paralysed. He consulted Yang Hong, who pushed for desperate measures. A disaster has befallen on the gates of our home. Hanzhong is Yi's jugular, lose it, and Shou bleeds out. This is survival or annihilation. Men must clash in the mud, and the women must haul supplies through the dust. Hesitate now, and we're doomed. What is there to hesitate about when it comes to sending reinforcements? Spurred by the urgency, Zhuge Liang sent reserve troops as soon as possible, while Yang Hong secured Fa Zheng's vacant seat at Shu Commandery, the latter already charging to Liu Bei's aid on the front. By October of 218, Cao Cao swept his banners out from Yi City back to Chang'an. There, he rallied his army with military drills to sharpen their edge, while his keen mind steered the defenders of Hanzhong from afar. As Shi Haiyuan and Liu Bei had been locked in a stalemate for over a year now, Liu Bei made his move, crossing the Mian River south of Yangping Pass with a surge of urgency. He advanced towards Hanzhong through the jagged mountains and set up his camp defiantly at Mount Dingjun. Shi Haiyuan and Zhang He scrambled to seize the high ground, digging their camp in at Zuma Valley's edge at the base of Mount Dingjun. Huang Chuan knew of their location well, and so provided a plan to burn their barbed fences during a night raid. Shi Haiyuan was forced to lead a light armor troop to douse the flames at the southern side of his camp, only to slam into enemy troops lying in wait. Even with Zhang He's assistance on the eastern corner, the camp's defences still collapsed. Liu Bei sneered at Zhang He's faltering line, then charged into his scattered ranks, so Shi Haiyuan sent half of his veteran troops to the eastern corner. Fa Zheng read the battle like a scroll when he saw the veterans split. He reported the opening in the enemy formation to Liu Bei and suggested to order a strike. Liu Bei loudly rallied his men into shouts of glory as they raised the war banners. With drums that shook the heavens and shouts that moved the valley, Huangzhong descended down the mountain onto Shi Haiyuan's forces. Even though his men lacked seasoned experience, they cut down Zhao Ang, Shi Haiyuan, and his son Shi Haorong in a bloody sweep. Word later reached Liu Bei that Zhang He had slipped away, and a flicker of frustration crossed his face at the news. With their commander now fallen, a great confusion enveloped the men of Hanzhong. Fearing Liu Bei's relentless advance, Tao Zhen bolted, retreating to Chang'an with haste. Du Shi and Guo Hua, on the other hand, swept in to gather the scattered soldiers and restored fragile order by nominating Zhang He to take command over them. The armies were reorganized by the officers who were willing to submit to Zhang He's authority. He swiftly reshaped the shaken armies into fighting form and marched the survivors just north of the Han River, pitching camps along its natural line. Liu Bei's armies camped south of the river, showing intent to cross in their movements, but Guo Hua spoke up about the obvious risk. He warned the river guards to pull back, as to lure the enemy into the shallows where they'd certainly fall. The plan took root, with Guo Hua watching over the river guards, ordering them to remain on high alert. With this defensive stance in action, Liu Bei's men acted more cautiously and didn't dare to cross. When Cao Cao heard that Shi Haiyuan had been killed, he dispatched Cao Zhen from Chang'an to reinforce Yangping Pass. When he arrived, he immediately ordered Xu Huang to attack Gao Xiang, and although a small victory was claimed, it did little more than help restore some morale. Liu Bei wasn't worried at all, and felt confident within the mountainous terrain that he could gain control over the Han River. Even if Cao Cao himself arrived, he wouldn't be able to do anything but wait. Liu gathered his forces and put up a firm defense by occupying the strategic passes while refusing to engage in open battle. He focused more on a war of attrition from this point on, so more and more of Cao Cao's soldiers either died from hunger or deserted throughout the coming months. Wang Ping was one such deserter who was welcomed by Liu Bei and appointed as an officer of the standard. In February of 219, Cao Cao retaliated by leading an army supported by millions of grains of supplies. He planned his march to the Han River, from Chang'an through the Xia Valley. Huangzhong caught wind of enemy supply wagons in his vicinity, so rallied a crew to go and capture them. When he failed to ride back on time, Zhao Yun's gut twisted with worry, spurring him to lead tens of horsemen to hunt for his comrade. They crashed headlong into the enemy's main vanguard, and Zhao Yun threw his small force into the fray, weaving sharp charges and swift retreats to carve through their ranks. With only a handful of soldiers charging and slashing, he bloodied a far larger army, his spear a blow of defiance. Despite this, the enemy was able to snap their formation tight around the lone riders, who were forced to retreat. With no more room left to fight, Deputy Zhang Zhu was left wounded as the others broke free one final time. Xiao Yun wheeled his horse, darting back to haul him from the jaws of death. At the camp gate, Zhang Yi stood on standby with his men, eyes locked on the incoming vanguard unit. Xiao Yun thundered through, barking to keep the gates wide open as Zhang Yi obeyed, stashing flags and banners to cloak their intent. The vanguard hesitated, sniffing an ambush in the eerie stillness of the empty fort, and turned around. War drums thumped through the hills as Xiao Yun seized the moment. As arrows and bolts rained down onto them, their retreat became a stampede. Bodies tumbled into the Han River one after another in a frantic mess as Xiao Yun and Zhang Yi scored a major victory at the Battle of Han River. From this point on, the soldiers called Xiao Yun General of Tiger's Might. Liu Bei also arrived to the camp the next day to survey the battlefield and inspected Xiao Yun. Zilong, you truly are full of courage. Cao Cao's forces faced serious logistical problems through the Xia Valley due to the prolonged standoff, so he eventually gave a cryptic order to his men, chicken rib. People like Cao Cao always wanted to mystify themselves with secrets that could not be easily shared. By writing calligraphic characters which have more than one meaning, he could disguise his intentions from the wider public. No one was willing to hazard a guess at what chicken rib meant, except Registrar Yang Shu, who correctly guessed Cao Cao's inner thoughts. He explained to the men that it was a pity to throw away a piece of chicken, even if it's small and has not got much meat on it. Comparing this to the situation at hand, standing little chance of defeating Liu Bei, but it also being a shame to throw away Hanzhong, it was clear Cao Cao intended to abandon the city. As it was taboo to guess Cao Cao's inner thoughts, and Yang Shu had carelessly revealed them to many people, which was even more forbidden, Cao became displeased with him and considered him an imminent threat, so had him executed in the end. Cao Cao retreated back to Chang'an by June 219, then gave up on Hanzhong commandery altogether. Liu Bei declared himself king of Hanzhong, then asked his subjects to nominate one of his generals to guard the city. Most of them named Zhang Fei, who was also convinced that he would be chosen, but Liu Bei selected Wei Yan instead, much to everyone's surprise. Liu Bei asked Wei Yan in front of everyone how exactly he intended to uphold his duty. If enemy forces attack Hanzhong, then let me assist you in resisting them. If a general comes with an army of 100,000, allow me to engulf them for you. As Liu Bei locked down the surrounding areas with Meng Da and Liu Feng at his side, whispers of his triumph raced south to Guan Yu in Jing. Fueled by the surge of Liu Bei's victories, Guan Yu saw his chance to ride the wave, unsheathing his blade to carve his own mark against Cao Cao's forces.